Welcome to Unmute Yourself. I'm your host, Jennifer Carter, and I am so glad you're here. Now, this podcast is about lifting the curtain on leadership, purpose, and the real stories behind people who dared to do things differently. We'll talk about how they found their path, the struggles they faced, and how they built something that truly matters. Now, these are everyday people doing extraordinary things, and I want you to know you are capable of that too. And for today's conversation, I'm thrilled to welcome Lydia Vollmann. Welcome, Lydia.
Hi, thank you.
Hi.
So glad to be here.
Nice to see you. Lydia is the founder of LV Growth Solution. She has over 18 years of experience in federal, state, and local grant programs. She's overseen nearly 18 billion, yes, that's billion with a B, in community funding, and now equips mission-driven organizations to win grants without burnout. She uses compliance, strategy, and smart systems powered by tech and AI. Lydia's journey is all about finding what matters, turning stress into opportunity. I can only imagine how much stress comes with working through $18 billion of funding, and helping organizations thrive without losing their soul. I think we can all relate. So, Lydia, thank you so much for joining me today.
So glad to be here. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for
Yes,
inviting me.
absolutely. So, let's start at the very beginning. And what inspired you to step into this work?
So the work actually found me. Like many careers go, I kind of fell into it. I didn't know what a grant was. I didn't know what federal funding means. I actually was hired for an accounting job. So when I
What?
when I got there, they were like, "Hey, by the way, here's your book of regulations. Read this." And so the funny part is I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I was brought in to basically close out Katrina grants. So disaster
Wow.
recovery funding. And I got to visit all of these small communities that thrived off of the funding, that was able to rebuild their communities. They wouldn't have had their community centers, their homes, their roofs, all of that without the federal funding. And so it was rewarding. And that's how I fell into it. And then just kind of took off from there. And I've done the federal side. I've worked for the state and cities and counties and consulting, private, everything. You name it, I've done it.
Wow, that's so impressive. Impressive. So tell me, like, you've had such a successful career in the grant world. I know that you worked for FEMA for quite a long time, and then you moved into your own business. So how did you discover what really matters to you in your work to turn it into your own thing?
So just really being able to help the community. My mission is helping my local communities. And so what I do now as a for-profit, and I also run a nonprofit, we are meant to help our communities. That's our mission, is a nonprofit helping other nonprofits focus on their missions. And so my famous favorite missions are local to me here in Dallas. I'm looking at the underserved community. So that's,
Mhm.
veterans, homelessness, all of the people that don't get the help that they deserve. So yeah, that's where I am now. And that's basically my mission is, hey, if you are struggling to stand up your own education, outreach, and I've worked in electric vehicles, it's just all of those type of missions that help the smaller communities. That's where I am.
Wow, so you took a big shift then, right? From helping the nation when they're,
Yep.
undergoing the unimaginable, things that we never hope we experience firsthand, to really narrowing in on your local community and what matters to you. So what was the turning point when you knew that you had to step up to lead this because it was so important to you?
So ironically, looking back at it, it's actually not such a big stretch away. But when you're at the federal level, it's really hard to see the bottom line, the mission, the goal out there is to help our citizens, which, in the disaster recovery world, they're called our survivors. And I was so far removed from that when I was at the federal level because the funding flows from the federal to the state to the city and
Yeah.
sometimes through several levels of governmental institutions. And so the shift came where, hey, I want to be closer to that. I want to be closer. I want to speak and work with the citizens, the survivors, the homeless, the veterans, all of these underserved communities. I want to be there in the mix and actually see for my own eyes how I'm helping, how we as a nonprofit are helping them.
Yeah. I'm really getting from you that While you loved your work at the federal level, being able to be there on the ground and closer to the people impacted
Yeah.
was a really important value for you.
Absolutely. I learned so much when I was with the federal government, and not to say I will never go back, because
Yeah.
once I've been a federal employee, I just feel like the cycle is everlasting boomerangs. We call ourselves boomerangs when we cycle back. And just having that community, I built a network when I was with the federal government of other people that love their job, that did what I do, maybe with less passion, a different focus, whatever it
Mhm.
might be. I learned so much from that circle of network. And yeah, I just kind of brought that knowledge with me outside of the federal government, and I'm now doing it for the community. So I actually branched out nationwide with LV
Wow.
Growth Solutions. So the nonprofit was focused here locally on Dallas. And after I kind of got into the more local community and I kind of quenched my thirst for
Mhm.
helping my local community, I branched out nationwide. So I'm actually sponsoring a lot more projects now and other nonprofit missions.
That's so cool. It sounds like you're really getting to do what you love and dive into your strengths as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So can you talk more about how your company helps mission-driven leaders just cut through that noise and stay focused on what matters? I know I used to help run a large nonprofit, right? And it was just compliance and grants and funders and meetings and reports.
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
Yeah. So funny thing, the taglines you just mentioned, all those words, those grab
Yeah.
words are my tagline on LinkedIn, right? Compliance, reporting, monitoring. That is what I do. And that's what I take over for these nonprofit leaders that don't have the time to do it or don't have the knowledge to do it, or they're just understaffed. Their mission is something else. Their mission is to help the homelessness and help the underserved
Right.
communities. And that's what I want them to focus on. So I basically just kind of take that uh, hard work, difficult red tape away from them. And just, I'm here to do it for you so that you can focus on your mission. That's my whole goal, my entire goal.
I feel like crying from knowing that you're out there in the world. I see a lot of nonprofits that do such good work and they're so focused on, helping people that are on the streets and finding housing and getting a job and surviving domestic violence and
Yeah,
watching somebody come in and say, "Hey, as you grow, let me take this off your plate."
absolutely. And I learned that from the federal government, right? When I was working with some of the tribes that were in my region, that's where I noticed, you know what? The people that are receiving and trying to manage these grants have other things to do. And tribes are usually pretty a small governmental entity. Usually it would be the sheriff that's the grant writer, the grant manager, and the project
Mhm.
manager. And man, would they struggle trying to keep all these balls in the air. And it was unfair. In my just opinion, I think that they could have used me at the time and really just focused on what to do with the money instead of having to focus on compliance with the money, and
Mhm.
probably could have gotten more funding that they deserved. It's just, you have people out there that try their best, but they don't know all the ins and outs like I do. I know all the red tape. That book that they gave me when I was an accountant,
Yeah.
all those rules I studied, learned them, and I became the queen of regulations back in my
The
baby grant
queen.
manager.
Yes, and people scared of that, and I
Absolutely.
love that there's folks out there that love to do that. It's so, so, so important in order
Mhm.
for the nonprofits to keep going and doing their mission. You mentioned that you like working, with the tribal communities, and I'm just curious, do you remember a point in your career where you realized or even the moment that you're like, "I need to go do my own thing and help my local communities or do something different? Or
Yeah.
was it, gradual over time?"
It was pretty gradual, to be honest, because I enjoyed doing I enjoyed the people that I was working with. I had
Hmm.
established a relationship with 26 different tribes in my region, and I enjoyed working with them, and I simply just didn't want to leave them. Um,
Yeah.
this year, 2025, as hard as it's been on us, former federal employees,
Right.
I've kind of been offered the opportunity. I look at it as opportunity to go and do these things for myself. My nonprofit was established in 2024, so that was well before the cuts and freezing of funding. And that's when, I was able to help a smaller group, but now I have the time I have the knowledge. I focus on nationwide communities now. Wherever the biggest mission is, I'll be there to help. So, yeah, that my passion grew very slowly, but kind of got catapulted into this thing full time unwillingly. I know there are other federal employees listening and they're probably like, "Oh, I know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
I wish I could go back to work." And it's just, I have all this opportunity now to just help out more.
I love what you've done, taking this challenge with the shifts in federal funding and layoffs and what that looks like for federal workers. Tell me about and tell our listeners because I work with a lot of folks who are going through layoffs, how that went for you emotionally and how you came to the conclusion to start your own thing.
Yeah, emotionally is a good word. It was very emotional. I'll say, there were questions of, is it my ability? Is it my talent? Am I no longer needed? Am I not good enough at what I do? I thought I was the queen of regulations. Why me? Right? But I think things are just meant to be when they happen. Like I said, prior to all the layoffs, I would not have had the time to focus nationwide. And I enjoy what I'm doing so much right now. Just I work with immigrants. And so there's a focus in California and there's a focus in Atlanta. So both sides of the coast have
Mhm.
nonprofits that focus on immigrant coming in and getting them comfortable. That's something I wouldn't have even thought to do at the beginning of the year. So it was an emotional time just to kind of sit with it and understand that, hey, I thought this was going to be like my retirement. Job security comes with the word federal worker,
Right.
so that term is now no longer applicable, I would say. But just kind of getting used to the idea, I can still do good. I can still, I'm taking this time actually. Let me do more and let me do better. That was my whole thought process behind standing up LV Growth Solutions, and just kind of branching out. So it worked out pretty well.
It's so cool. Like, I really appreciate you talking about, you had a plan. I think a lot of us have plans. We're going through life. This is where we're going to retire. This is my passion. I found something I loved. And then whammo, the rug gets pulled out from underneath.
Whammo
Yeah.
was
How,
right.
how did you push through some of those hurdles in the early days or when you first got started? And what were those hurdles?
So I mentioned my network before, right? I have a deep network of fellow grant managers, grant writers, grant consultants, and I really leaned heavily on my network. And it was, you know, friends, they're friends, even family. My sister is in the same boat, and her and I run LB Growth Solutions together. So I'm lucky to say that I had that to lean on and really fortunate that my network is so strong because they're the ones that encourage me, hey, dust yourself off and get back up because this is not it. This is not the end. This is
Yeah.
just an interlude. So I look forward to eventually working with the federal government again. I know things always come around in full circle. So the doors will open again soon. So in the meantime, I'm just going to focus on working with the people that I want to help and do
Yeah.
where my path, my goals take me.
You're just letting it happen. You're letting it unfold.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, where in your life did you learn to turn the stress or the perceived obstacles into opportunity?
Had a lot of mentors. And man, those mentors are so calm and just know how to walk through a situation without stressing. And I always strive to be like that. So I think I'm just like mirroring what I've learned or what I hope to
Mhm.
be. And then also, I've come a long way in my own right. Just learning that, I'll probably never go backwards. Things will never be worse than what they were, where I've climbed myself out of situations,
Wow.
financial
Mhm.
stress, all of that. They would never be what they were. So, why stress? I'm just here to support others. And I think that kind of keeps me grounded. Serving the underserved community really is a wake up call every day because there's somebody out there that needs your help. And without you, where would they be? There's no idea what the outcome would be. And so, yeah, it could always be worse. And that helps me, keeps me grounded. I love my people, my community. It's just, my heart
Yeah.
just is so like I've really been able to just pour my entire heart into my passion this year. And so I'm actually very happy with where I am right now. It's just sometimes I just have to sit back and remind myself, the worst thing that you thought ever happened to you is actually the best thing.
Oh my gosh. I love that. I actually this weekend, I was at a concert that reminded me and there was the opener came on, right? And she's from Scotland and she was standing on stage like, "I'm so grateful to be here." And it made me think in the moment, like, I hope she sees what a cool position she's in at this moment instead of like, "Oh my gosh, I'm at the headliner yet," right? And so it's to me, when what you just said is all about enjoying the journey and seeing where you are and how far you've come. And we don't often give ourselves enough credit for that. For
Yes.
sure. For sure.
Agreed. I'm my biggest critic, always have been. But when I think back on, hey, all the places where my name, my signature is left in stone, I was there. I've been here. Lydia was here. And this is part of the credit that I deserve. You just have to sit down and recognize sometimes that, the little things that we do, some is big to someone else. You never know how you're impacting other folks that are in need of help and just that little good word that you might be able to provide. And it just, it grows.
Right.
Your credit bank grows with that.
Right, right. I was talking to someone who's at a fast growing but small nonprofit this past weekend, and she was talking about there's so much funding pressure and how do I do the reporting and helping new staff and maybe folks that haven't run a very, let's say, regulated funding environment for a
Hmm.
nonprofit, right? Because that's a whole nother world.
Hmm.
So, what advice would you give to leaders who are feeling buried in this compliance and reporting and funding pressure?
I would say focus on establishing your policies and procedures. I sound like a federal regulation right now, but
Hey, you're the queen. We're listening to the queen.
it is so important. And just on the surface level, it just sounds like such a small thing. But what you're going to do with this book of policies and procedures is you're going to pass it on to the person that you want to have complete that task. Take those tasks off your shoulders and give it to the next person or someone that's there to help you. Everyone doesn't always have the resources and the support, but
Yeah.
definitely there will be someone there to help eventually. But it's really important to establish your policies and your process. Write it down what you do and how you do it.
Wow.
Hey, somebody's going to come help.
Yeah. So, okay. So, what I'm hearing is take a step back, don't panic, think
Yeah.
through the beginning, do your policies and procedures first. And
Yep.
so you're not just skipping 10 steps.
Yep, yep, exactly.
Yep.
I mean, one big example I always use is reporting. Reporting comes around maybe once a quarter. By the time it comes back, do you remember what you did last quarter? I don't. I
No, I
have so
don't. I
many
never
other
did.
things going on.
Right.
Instead of starting over and going back, what's the report number? What's this? What did I report last month? Have your steps written down. That is your policy. That is your process. And look at it. Or again, pass it along to somebody that may have a little more time than you and kind of get it off of your plate to make room for the important things.
Oh,
Oftentimes we focus on the important things first, and don't get me wrong, they're definitely important. But without policies or without written instructions, you're going to struggle with all the smaller things, and that will eat up more of your time than you have.
yeah, it can just suck you in, right? Yeah. Yeah, I get
Yeah,
it. Thanks for
yeah.
sharing that. That'll be helpful to a lot of our listeners, I know. Now, so in your journey, right? So you had a very, very, very large region that you oversaw for FEMA, and now you're running your own company and your own nonprofit. So what lessons stand out that you would want others, especially people who feel overlooked or underestimated to hear?
I think the biggest lesson I've learned in the nonprofit world is ask for help. Ask for help. There are people out there that will help you. Volunteers, your network, whoever, has shares your mission is going to help. And nonprofits have that benefit in that they have a mission that serves others. And there are people that are willing to help always. You just have to know where to find them. I was
Right.
lucky enough to have that network, but definitely, if I didn't ask for help, the help that I needed at the time, when I didn't know I needed it, I probably wouldn't be here. I might still be, a little depressed and singing my own little violin song.
Yes. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. Yeah. I also like what you said about not what did you say? Some people don't know that they need help or what help to ask for, like just talking it through even.
Yeah, and that's my entire mission. That's what I'm here for. Oftentimes, I'll have a consult with a nonprofit, and they don't even realize some of the steps that need to be taken in order to further their nonprofit or to get them grant ready or to, just set them up for the next step of donations and funding. And we'll have a 30-minute conversation, and the list is growing. I can see it in their head. They're just like, oh, crap, I gotta do
Mhm.
this. The checklist is growing. And it's like, well, that's what I'm here for, to take that off your plate.
Yeah, one thing at a time. Yeah, so how that it sounds like you're really helping people dig out of that uncertainty. So how do you yourself stay on course when things are feeling heavy or uncertain, especially with your new career that you've started?
I am a big writer, component writer. I write things
Mm.
all the time. I'll just, this is how. I'll show you. I tab things, the important things. This is from the last year of 2025. And if
Mm.
I ever forget the path I'm on, or I don't know, how did I end up here? I took a wrong turn somewhere. I will go back to page one and reread where was my thought process? What was I thinking? What did I write down in January? What was my goal? And just kind of remind myself, oh, you know what? I already did that. Check. I met that goal. What is funny as everyone writes their New Year goals. I wrote my goals down in December of 2024 and put them to the side, forgot about them, give them a nice little tab.
As we do. Yes.
When the layoffs happened and all of that cuts and the money stopped flowing and I was singing my little violins, I was feeling bad for, oh, me, oh, my poor community. I look back at my goals, and this was about April. So 4 months after I wrote those goals down, I already met them, each and every one of them. I
It's
actually
amazing.
exceeded them. And I was just, and then help me pull myself out of that little depression. And I know for my federal folks out there, I know
Yeah.
it's tough. There are people still going through that little cycle of depression and how am I going to get out of this hole? But it just keep reminding yourself what were your goals and how do you get there? Get back on that path that you were before.
Yeah, it's your why. Like you're doing this for a reason and you chose it.
Yep.
Whether you know that you chose it or not, you chose it. So
Yep.
how do you just keep going?
Yeah. This is just a pause.
Oh, it's just a pause. It's a reset.
Hmm. Good time to reset. Go take that vacation. Go open that business. Go do that thing that you didn't have enough time to do before.
Beautiful. Lydia, thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, that's great. That's great. And I wonder like what is a common misconception that people have about the work that you do in the grant world and, your nonprofit work?
Yeah, there's a couple. My favorite one is I can do that myself. I don't need somebody else to help me do that.
Right,
Writing
we're
grants.
independent. We don't need anybody's help. What are you talking about? Yeah.
And you totally can, but you want to rely on the expert, or you want to have an expert at least help you. Make sure you have that pretty bow tied on the top of your proposal. Make sure you have all the compliance, all the checklists. For me, it's the fiscal sponsorship that my clients seek me out for. And then my expertise and my knowledge, and also my passion. I bring a different lens sometimes to how to serve your community, what can be done. Instead of taking ABC actions, maybe we'll look at it a little differently, and we can go um, change and design the program a little bit differently, and thereby qualify for some additional programs funding. That's the main misconception there. I would say is, "Oh, I can just do this myself." You can, but
It's like having your own personal trainer,
yeah,
right? Or
absolutely,
your own personal chef,
yeah,
or it's your own business coach. It's somebody that knows it. Let me tell you, I have dealt with my fair share of state, federal, local government grants, and they are an undertaking. And so to have somebody that knows what they're doing and highly skilled,
yeah.
like, I just am breathing easier now, even though I'm not in it anymore. Like, I am glad that you are in the
Right.
world, Lydia.
Yeah, and that's the difference. Usually, normally, people don't like grants. I love
Right.
grants. Let me.
Yeah.
I could do that. I could do that. Let me do it. Yeah, and it's like, here, please take this over so I don't have to look at it anymore.
I
So yeah,
love that.
that's where I can come
Beautiful.
in.
Now, I do have a few quick fire questions for you, okay?
All right.
So I just want you to answer with the first thing that comes to mind, and I ask these of all of my guests.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What is one lesson you've learned that you wish everyone knew?
I would say take your time just studying your niche. Get yourself a niche, study that niche, know that niche, become that niche. Whatever business it is, become that special expert at your niche.
Love it. If you could go back and tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
You know, I would say calm down, slow down, and take it easy.
Because it's
You
not that
don't have to do
bad.
everything.
Yeah, right? So much pressure we put on ourselves.
Yeah, I was a
Yeah.
full-time student, a full-time mom, a full-time employee.
Right.
I was doing it all. It's like, you don't have to do that.
It's gonna be okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, in one sentence, what does leadership mean to you today?
It means you take care of your people. Instead of talking to, you talk with, you celebrate with, you're with your people. Leadership is so much more than just having that title. It just means my folks have always known I will take care of you. You just go do your work and relax and know that I have your back at all times. You're trained by me. You do the work the way I wanted to be done and I have your back for it. I remember one time I had an employee come and say, I'm just not sure how you're going to react to this. And she was just not happy to tell me the news. And it was, after she told me, I was like, that's not a problem. We'll work through that together. Don't ever hesitate to come to me with an issue or something that, if you messed it up, I'm here to help you fix it. Not an issue.
Yeah, so just being present.
Yeah. Being present,
Okay.
checking on them, keeping a pulse on them.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the boldest choice you've made that paid off?
Well, I would say starting the for profit side this year, but it wasn't really a choice so much. I guess it was a choice. But yeah, just kind of jumping into the nationwide goal of what I have been doing for so long and just taking it nationwide is very bold. Federal contracting, I'm used to doing it with a certain region in a certain area. Other areas belong to other people, other grant managers. But now I go where the mission is.
And if listeners only remember one thing from this conversation, what should it be?
It should be that there's always somebody there that will help you. You just have to ask. Even if it's just me, I'm here to help. That's my goal.
Well, what's the next big dream you're chasing?
So I actually just had an interview Friday with a veteran owned nonprofit. And so they're focusing on veterans. So I'm diving into that area of focus. My dad is a veteran. My ex-husband is a veteran. My brother is a veteran. So it just kind of, has been part of my life already. So I'm really excited, extremely excited to be able to take it to a bigger level and help out with that mission.
Sounds deeply aligned. Love
Very
it.
aligned. Yeah. And again, this is something I would never have fallen into just in January.
Yeah, who you never know what happens next. You
Yeah.
just got to keep going. Well, Lydia, this has been such a powerful conversation. And thank you so much for sharing your story and your wisdom with us. And before we wrap, I always like to ask two final questions. If listeners walk away remembering just one thing from this conversation, what do you hope it is?
I hope that if you are serving a greater mission that than yourself or your community, I hope that you reach out, contact me. Let's see how we can partner in your project and helping your mission move forward.
And how can listeners connect with you?
So my website, the nonprofit is Grant Our Community. And so that's our community as OUR because it is our community, right? It's not mine, it's not
Right,
yours,
right.
but it's ours. And grantourcommunity.org, you can actually go and see some of the projects that I'm working on now. And if you think you have something of a great mission that will be a good fit, let's connect. Definitely send me an email. My email address is on there. You can contact me through the website.
Great. And on a more personal note, what has it meant for you to share your story here on Unmute Yourself today?
This has been so exciting. These are some of the questions that I haven't really thought about myself. So just thinking of the answer really has reignited my passion. I'm just like sitting here listening to myself, like, yeah, this is actually exciting.
Right?
You know what? Let me go do some work right now. I've got to go work on that immigrant podcast. Let me see what my clients need today. But yeah, this has just been a very eye opening conversation for myself. Some of the things some of how this year has gone, really just putting that into words has been my pleasure and delightful. I'm excited to hear back my own episode.
It's going to be so fun. It's going to be so fun. Well, thank you again, Lydia, for joining me. And thank you to everyone listening for showing up, reflecting, and unmuting yourself in your own way. And if today's conversation inspired you, please share this episode, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories of leaders creating work that truly fits and matters. Until next time, unmute yourself and step into the story only you can tell.